Alright everybody, thanks for joining us here at the Cerberus Den. We are very excited to open our first box of Lorcana. I'm going to go ahead and start opening the box and kind of tell you a little story of how we got it and how we got very, very lucky. So we were at Gen Con last weekend, and if anyone heard the horror stories of Lorcana, it was definitely Thursday is the issue everyone had. The big issue was, essentially, it was Black Friday, but without any of the knowledge or foresight people had to, basically how to handle something like that. So I felt real bad for some of the people who were running the booth, people who were just running Gen Con. I don't think they fully understood what they were going to expect. So the concept of lines and ropes when there are hundreds and hundreds of people trying to basically break through and get a hold of this stuff. We got, like I said, very, very lucky because when that door first opened Thursday, there was no rhyme or reason. It was just survival of the fittest. It looked like those old school Black Friday videos you would see where people are running and trampling each other. And luckily I've been to a few Black Fridays, so I kind of was able to dip, dodge, duck, dodge, dive to get out of the way of everybody. But it was definitely chaotic because they had no idea what they actually to expect. And what was really, really nice is when the chaos started to ensue and so many people are crowded around the booth from all different directions. Eventually Gen Con had to get involved more so than just the actual booth, Ravensburger. But they, because there's fire marshal, all type of stuff potentially that was going to happen with this. And they literally had to basically just call it and say, look, if you're standing here, you're in line. If you're standing here, you're not in line. Now, imagine being in line for hours and being told that. We got very, very lucky because we just happened to be standing in the right place where the guy decided that that was going to be the line. Here we go. Here's our first nice little pretty one. Sorry for the glare, everybody. But hopefully you can see it as Captain Hook. And we got Just in Time. And then our buddy Scar. And then we'll set this over here. Let me move these packs. See if we can complete the puzzle as we do this. So yeah, foil Scar. Very, very nice. Very pretty card. If anyone's not seen these cards in person, I know a lot of people have not yet. Basically, if you essentially were not D23 or Gen Con, you haven't got to see these cards, but they're very, the foiling on these are very, very pretty. They almost, it's the concept of like a reverse foil, if you're familiar with like Pokemon, where part of it will be foiled and then part of it will not. So the foreground, like where Scar is itself, is not foiled, but everything behind him is. So, like I said, you can kind of see that or not, but very, very pretty. So yeah, when they first announced that they're doing Lorcana Gen Con, they put out a big post saying that basically each day you'd be allowed to get one of everything. I think that plan went away almost immediately the second they realized how many people were actually there and in line to get things. A lot of people, like I said, were upset because they just happened to be standing in the wrong place and had to go back to the line, which didn't really exist, by the way, for the first 2 hours. It was just people standing around begrudgingly not moving until someone told them where the line was. But those, when they did that, like I said, it went away immediately. They straight up said, yep, forget that, you are allowed one per the whole show. And they were going to actually make it to where they clip your badge, which they did ours on day one. Someone told me they stopped doing that after day one. I've got a genie. And they basically made it to where you could only get one of each thing by clipping your badge instead of one each day like they originally said. Now what was nice, my understanding, I haven't talked to a lot of people who got it, but everyone was able to get the stuff they wanted. So that was very, very nice. I was actually shocked how much they had, considering most games don't fully anticipate how much they're going to get. Here's our first foil, non-rare. And like I said, it was just very, very nice to know that they actually had everything. That being said, we were not able to get a playmat. We saw some people pretty much straight up scalping these playmats at other booths right out the gate already. I think they were like $80 a playmat is what people had them at. So, like I said, some people definitely did get it. We waited in line for maybe 2 hours total. So, very grateful. We didn't have to wait super long because it was made very clear immediately after that that they needed to get their stuff together and have lines and have ropes and do all the kind of things you would basically consider to be normal at this point for something like a Black Friday, which is the only way I can truly describe what this was like. Is they immediately said, yeah, we're going to have people lined up basically starting at 6 p.m. Basically for the next day. So on Thursday night, people were starting to wait in line at 6 p.m. for the convention hall to open at 6 o'clock. Or I'm sorry, 10 a.m. the very next day, which is pretty intense. That's a long time of waiting for sure. Because let us not forget, got a nice little puzzle piece here. Oh, we're easily going to finish this puzzle piece. Kind of move this over here for a second. And then our foil. What our feet he knows the way. Is when you're at Gen Con, if anyone's been to Gen Con, it's pretty expensive. Not only is there the obvious of the ticket, but the hotel, if you have to travel very far. So think about the idea of you're waiting in line to get to play this game. And you basically have to waste, essentially, quote unquote, your Gen Con just waiting in line. Literally from 6 p.m. until 10 a.m. the next morning. Like I said, I'm happy some of the people who did. I saw some people locally, they were able to get some stuff. One of the friends here at the store, he pulled that Aurora, the super pretty new rarity that was revealed at Gen Con that they kept a secret from everybody. That was very, very cool. We're really excited because we are a OP store. So we were able to basically get a little more allocation than normal than a store that was not. So thankfully we will be able to host our event next weekend at, wow, look at that. Look at Elsa. She's so pretty. And we will be hosting DenCon. And yes, I'm very aware that sounds like Gen Con. That's kind of the fun of it because we're the Cerberus Den. So we're going to host DenCon. It's a free charity convention next weekend here in our town. And yeah, that's where conveniently is also the same weekend that Lorcana goes live. So we will have learn to plays. We're going to have basically, like I said, it's a free convention. So we're going to have learn to plays. People will be able to finally get their hands on learn how to play this game in real life if you haven't got to a Gen Con. And that's another thing. I'll come back to that in a second. Being able to actually get to even play at Gen Con is the goal of Gen Con, like I said, is for everyone to get to play this game. I've heard the horror stories about how much certain stores are starting to charge for this stuff already. It is kind of crazy. I get it, the FOMO. When it first comes out, everyone wants it, everyone feels they have to have it. I can't stress, like, anyone who has a store or knows someone at a store, they'll tell you, like, if you're an organized play store, you're getting more product. They made it very clear that we will be getting, I think at least 24 more boxes in September. So there is more coming. So please don't pay an astronomical amount for this game. It's coming. Just be a little bit patient. Wow, look at this one. Ooh, Captain Hook. Thinking happy thought. So if anyone's not aware and they've seen this card game for the first time, what's really fun and unique about Lorcana that I really, really like, because I just think it's a lot of just, this concept is very fun, is the stories aren't set in stone. So the stories that everyone's familiar with and know, the whole fun of this is you're kind of writing your own story. Now at the end of the game, it's still a game that you're trying to win, and basically it's a race. This game is not to defeat your opponent, it's simply a race to get to 20, instead of deduct your opponent down from 20, like other games. But you are basically the person telling the story. So for example, that Captain Hook I just showed, it's the whole concept like, oh, well, what if Captain Hook got a happy thought and he was able to fly? What would that look like? Oh, that's kind of fun. That's a cool, different, unique idea, because he plays very different than the evil Captain Hook you would put in a deck. Um, my favorite of that is still Zeus, or I'm sorry, not Zeus, Hades, where it's basically what if he won and became the god of gods. Here we go, we got our scar. Um, so it's really cool that he's wearing white. He's King of Olympus. It's just a very cool concept and visual. So it's very cool to see basically different versions of the characters that we're all so used to seeing all the time. All right, we got Healing Glow. That's our foil. Once again, these foils, guys, they're so pretty. Especially this one, right? It's Rapunzel with her hair that glows. That's such a cool idea. All right, well that didn't take very long. We got our Mickey Mouse, the brave little tailor. Puzzle made here. Going back to Gen Con. So once again, for those of you who did not go to Gen Con, when the events went live, like anyone else who has been to Gen Con, if there's certain games you want to play, you better get in there early. So, for example, if you're doing something really popular like True Dungeon, stuff like that, within literally the first 5 minutes, every single game is completely taken, and it becomes a frantic of trying to get things on your wish list, deleting it, moving it, rebuying it. Oh, I want to bring my friend. Well, he got on the 3 o'clock, I'm in the 4 o'clock. It's very difficult for some of the games that are very, very popular. Lorcana was one of those, which I gotta say I'm shocked, and I'm not shocked in the sense that it was really popular, because obviously people have been waiting for this game. It's very cool, Moana. What I am shocked about is that there wasn't more learn to play games. There was literally a handful. If I remember off the top of my head correctly, there was less than 10 events over the span of 4 days to learn how to play this game. Now, I get it in the sense of there's only so much of this product here, right? And they can't just give starter decks to every single person who walks in. But most games at Gen Con, you don't necessarily get to take the game home. So I don't know why it was an issue to not just have, let's say, 10 starter decks all sleeved up, ready to go, just for people to come in and simply learn how to play. And then when they leave, maybe they get a promo card, or maybe you don't necessarily have to give them a whole deck to do that. I think that would have helped a lot of people with a lot of the negativity there was, especially on Thursday. Because like I said, Thursday was so crazy and people were so angry that it wasn't pretty. Like I said, once again, I keep talking about Black Friday. That's very much what it felt like. People were very upset. Here we go, Fishbone Quill. Oh, I see something pretty. You guys will see in a second. Maleficent. And look at our little guy here. So freaking cool. I love this art so much. So, Nicholas Cole, the artist who does this, and a lot of the really, really good pieces you see in this, he was actually at Gen Con, which I thought was really cool. Similar to the Learn to Plays, sadly they didn't really have him there very long. If you look at the schedule, he was seriously there for, I think, 30-minute increment twice each day, or twice for like 3 of the days. So he was only there for an hour each day. So once again, if you're trying to get people hyped and get this in the hands of people, I'm not sure why they limited themselves. I feel like that guy easily would have hung out and signed more cards. He's an artist for a card game, no different than anyone else. And you see this kind of artist at shows all the time where they have no problem having a booth and selling prints and signing things for everybody. So I'm not really sure why he was treated like an extreme celebrity to the point where like he couldn't sit in a place for longer than 30 minutes to sign for someone. So that was a little odd. But I feel like that, once again, that would have helped a lot more people be happy, because they would have felt they got something for Lorcana, considering, like I said, 99% of the people who signed up to get to do the Learn to Play simply did not. Let's see, what else is there with Lorcana I was trying to think of? So one of the things with Lorcana in general that I'm really excited about is for kids to have other options of games besides just Pokemon. Now don't get me wrong, I love Pokemon. I was raised on Pokemon, like most kids my age. Um, but what I really like is that with this, it gives um, just that, we'll say, the Disney magic. Whether you agree or disagree with all the stuff they've been doing the past few years, most of the stuff you see in this game are very iconic, very classic. So, this is a very good one right here. Got Stitch. Non-foil, we're not that cool, but still a very good card. Here's our foil. I know, so I have kids. They're very excited about this game. I'm a big Keyforge fan. That was mostly what I did when I was at Gen Con. Participated in nationals, basically most of the day, Friday and Saturday. And anyone who's not played Keyforge, this game has a lot of very similar aspects to it. And when I say similar aspects, I mean the concept of, if anyone's not played other games like this, it's not defeat. Wow, look at this. Cerberus Den, that's what I'm talking about. I need this foil. If someone gets a hold of this card foil, please message me in the comments. We got to make something happen. I'm gonna need this card. I've always been a sucker for Cerberus, obviously, with the store and everything. But a big part of it, I think, actually was because of the Disney Hercules. And yes, I am aware that the Disney Hercules movie is not very accurate to Greek mythology, but still, just that the iconography of that, like, he's so large, and when you see him for the first time, it is pretty scary. And to see him rip apart that little tiny piece of meat that Hades throws him, I love it. It's so fun. No, but going back to what I was saying with the kids in Keyforge, this game is very similar to Keyforge. It's very easy to learn. I will say, compared to Pokemon nowadays, for example, if you try to teach kids, and when I say kids, I'm talking like 8 years old, which is usually the demographic gets people excited about these kind of games, where they're not necessarily in it to play the game. They're just excited to see their favorite character on a card. It is much more difficult to teach an 8-year-old Pokemon now with the EXVs and a lot of these extra more advanced mechanics that the game's now evolved into since it's been out for so long. This game, not that this game is the most simple game ever, but it's definitely opts more to be able to let a child learn how to play it. And I really like, once again, that it teaches a real basic lesson, not that it matters, because the goal of the game is to win, but the idea that there we go, is Ariel, and we got Aurora, is the object of the game is that you succeed, not necessarily that your opponent loses. I know it kind of sounds like obvious, like, well, yeah, in order for you to win, your opponent has to lose. But there's a very different mentality when you play a card game like this, or some of the other games where it's very, very cutthroat. When you're a young child, that idea that you are trying, in this game, for example, it's a race, like I said before. So you get rewarded by playing better, by being more efficient, choosing when to play the card. In this game, like I said, it's not just attack and kill your opponent's creatures. It's very much, do you choose to use them in different ways. So you can use them for songs, you can use them for all kinds of different things. And when you're rewarded for that. Whereas, like I said, other games where it is definitely more of, okay, you need to defeat your opponent by any means necessary. It's a different mentality, 100%, when you're playing the game. Once again, like I said, compared to being as efficient as you possibly can. Because once again, the game is a race. Ooh, look at this, very pretty. I'll tell you right now, my daughter is going to lose her mind when she sees this card. Tangled is definitely her favorite movie for the longest time. And, I mean, wow, once again, like, that's gorgeous. She's going to be fighting me for that card. So it's very fun to play this with kids. Like I said, and I want, like I said, as many people to get their hands on this game as possible. As the store, our goal is to get, for this to be the new Pokemon, the new card game that kids can play and have fun. And not have to worry about, like I said, the whole concept of I gotta go have necessarily all the single best cards there are, which will happen. I get that. The more competitive you get, you need to have the better cards. But just right out of the gate, like, oh, my favorite princess is Aurora. Dad, can I make an Aurora deck? Sure, let's figure out how to make that work. Um, and that's how Pokemon, I know, started as well. As one of those, like, you pick your favorite Pokemon. It didn't matter what the the most powerful card was. You just wanted to play with your favorite Pokemon. And I think this goes back to that and gets people excited again to just have fun and play with what they want to play with. Aladdin, the heroic outlaw. Once again, it kind of goes back to I mentioned before, the whole, oh, what if Aladdin didn't necessarily become a prince and he went full King of Thieves style, right, with that movie. So I just love that idea. That we get different versions of the characters that we already know. Phil. Still waiting for that to happen. Give me my live action Phil. Oh, here we go. I was just talking about this earlier. I'm so happy to have this card. So Hades, King of Olympus. That's just such a cool idea. The idea that, what if Hades won, basically? And his flavor text is, oh hey, I'm going to need new business cards. That's pretty great. I love it. We got Ursula. I am curious to see what other people got as well. I have tried to stay away from spoilers from this as much as I can. I mean, I've seen the really big ones, and I get it, and that people get excited and they get the new card they want to show. But I do get a lot of enjoyment of doing things like this, with other box openings, with other games where you just simply you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you're going to get. I think it makes it a lot more fun because you're like, oh, that's so great. That's a fun card. Especially when you start to learn the cards and the meta and all that kind of stuff, and you start to look at cards obviously much different than just looking at the picture. Oh, I like that style quite a bit. That might be my favorite style, actually. Rafiki, Dr. Facilier, Triton, Cusco, no touchy. Let it go. And our foil is Ariel. Excuse me. So while we were at Gen Con, we got some good news. I think it was literally while, I think I was in line actually to walk into Gen Con. So we got it at like 9 in the morning on Thursday, where they announced what promos and how many of those promos that stores will be getting for their organized play. Very excited, very happy about this for someone who, like I said, has played some of these other games. For example, this game's going to be compared to Pokemon a lot because people are like, this is the Pokemon killer, this is the game that kids are going to gravitate to. And, ooh, look at that Zeus. Very cool art. Oh, here we go. Nikki. And, ooh, look at that. That is what I'm talking about right there. Is, I'm very excited to have the option as a store to be able to host this game. For example, Pokemon, if you guys are not aware, right around, we'll say COVID, when Pokemon got really crazy and you couldn't find anything and the price of Pokemon was skyrocketing, everything was very, very scarce, combined with COVID of people not working and being in the office, they basically just put a complete freeze on any new Pokemon Hobby League stores. Well, our store here at the Cerberus Den, we've only been open for almost 2 years here in the next couple months, and it was just not possible. Like, since literally the store's been open almost 2 years, we have not been able to even basically be looked at. Be prepared. And some as you couldn't even be a hobby league if you wanted to. So I'll see it all the time. There's certain stores that have got it because they had it, like I said, pre-COVID. And yeah, I gotta admit I'm jealous. I see it, I'm like, oh, look at all the cool stuff you guys get every month for your kit, and you get to give your players where, like I said, if you don't have that, you basically are just giving packs away, which is not bad. I mean, people like to have packs, but I feel like the promos are definitely, it's the fun stuff, it's the unique stuff. Anyone can get packs. You can get those at freaking Target, but promo cards are supposed to be, it's promotional, right? You're supposed to get this stuff for basically supporting your local game store and coming out and playing. So I'm very excited that Lorcana did a great job of getting a lot of the stores approved. So I noticed that a lot of the stores are here in our local area, they got approved, which is great. Because that means we can actually build that community, get people actually playing this game. And we're excited to give promos to people that come out and play. Moana and Tinkerbell. Crunk. Flavor text. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Gotta say, it's I know it's stupid and cheesy, but anytime I open these packs and I'm seeing all this stuff like from my childhood or cartoons I've seen 100 times, like how can you not do the voice when you read these quotes? Like I said, that's the fun of Disney, the magic of Disney they always talk about is it's just so everlasting. Your parents watched it, your grandparents watched it. It's been around for so long, and I think that's another beauty of this game compared to Pokemon, for example, where Pokemon is very much my generation. I think Pokemon came out when I was in 5th grade, and so it was big for me, and going forward it kept growing, but my dad didn't know what Pokemon was. My grandpa definitely didn't know what Pokemon was, and they're just like, yeah, sure, whatever. But with this game, here's a perfect example, Cruella de Vil. I mean, that movie came out, I don't know, I remember this quote when Harmon Dalmatians came out, but a very long time ago, way before I was born, to where my dad watched this when he was a kid. So he understands and gets all these characters, and he knows all these tropes, and has seen these movies 100 times again and again. That, like I said, even something like Cinderella, they're iconic. So it's much easier to get excited, want to play this with your kids or play this with your grandkids, because you're like, oh yeah, I saw that movie. Oh, I totally understand why you would want to play this game, because that's my favorite movie. I want to play as that guy. I want to play as this guy. So once again, it starts to get away from the whole, how much is that card worth? What's the best card for my deck? It's like, no, strip all that away. I like freaking Abu. I want to make a freaking Abu deck. How do I do that? Like, there are people who will do that. I know there will. And, or Timon. Hey, I love Lion King. How do I make a Timon? I want to make a Timon and Pumbaa deck. You get to do that fun, gimmicky stuff, and you get to have just as much fun. Whereas, like I said, you wouldn't necessarily get to do that with the whole family with other games. So, very, very excited. Once again, I think that's why this game will last. The only thing I think that will hold this thing back is if they are not able to produce it. And that's the big thing, right? People were worried, like, oh man, if you're not an organized play, I heard stores, they're only getting like 2 boxes. Well, if you guys are not aware, 2 boxes is not enough to run a game store at all. Those 2 boxes will be gone basically immediately. Look at that foil. Oh, I love Maleficent. That lightning bolt, watch that crackle. It's very cool. You have to have packs. You have to have packs to make decks. You have to have packs to give away as prizes. I know not all stores do that, and right now packs are so scarce. They're selling for a fortune. But that's a big part of what packs are. You're supposed to go have fun, go do your tournament, do some casual play, and at the end you get more cards. That's what it's all about. You're trying to collect all the cards. You're trying to build the stuff that you want to build. One jump ahead. I love this too. So obviously, if you guys are not aware, once again, with this being Disney and very classic Disney, there's songs. So you can have characters sing songs. So then now, once again, you get to the point where you're singing freaking songs, because One Jump Ahead and Aladdin is probably one of my favorite Disney songs. Oh, here we go, Stitch. down to our last 2 packs. I really appreciate everyone hanging out and watching this and seeing the stuff get opened. If you wouldn't mind, I appreciate it. We're definitely a new channel. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, if you want to see more stuff like this, I'm perfectly fine opening more boxes. We have a few we got, like I said, we got from Gen Con, and being an organized play store, we'll be able to get access to basically more boxes as well. So we want people to get to enjoy this, the content, get the fun if we pull the really crazy stuff. But we plan on doing other videos too. We want to do more learn to plays. Like I said, we really want people to play this game. That's the big thing with us. Is we're not our goal. We're a smaller store, and we're very much about the play space. We don't do nearly as much of retail because we want, like I said, we want people to play. Oh, look at him, Ursula Shaw. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Look at that. You can see that foil right there. Oh, that is so cool. Mickey Mouse Artful Rogue. I know it's kind of hard to see with that glare. So I'm going to try to keep moving them around, but right there. Oh, that's so gorgeous. Second to last pack. Who would have thought? That's so funny. I mean, I guess it could have been last pack, but that's still... I wasn't worried, but at the same time I was like, man, are we going to get something really, really crazy? And I think we did, so I'm very happy. We also have a Patreon as well, so I don't know if we mentioned this before. Our specialty is definitely role-playing games, tabletop RPGs. So we have a huge library we've accumulated of miniatures, terrain. We're constantly 3D printing new stuff, painting stuff for everyone to use. So as part of our Patreon, we have different tiers, and the big thing you get as it scales up is miniatures. So basically, we literally ship miniatures to your door, so it's kind of a mystery which one you're going to get. But we make them ourselves. They're all high-quality resin. And we actually have painting on our channel as well here soon. And one of the tiers is you will actually get a painted miniature, and you will basically on camera get to see your miniature get painted. So it's kind of a cool, fun way to, you're not sure which one you're going to get. Maybe if you request, maybe we'll get you the one you actually wanted that stood out if you're part of that Patreon tier, and have it shipped to you. But yeah, so that's it. That's our whole box. That's our first box of Lorcana. Hopefully you also enjoyed the extra little commentary, like I said, of how Gen Con went for us regarding Lorcana specifically. Overall, like I said, we got very, very lucky, very, very appreciative that they were very, very nice. They were walking around giving pins and stuff like that to people in line to kind of help make sure everyone was happy, because obviously that's their goal. It's their first outing as a game this big. And yeah, so once again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. More videos like this to come, and don't forget, 3 heads are better than 1.